Let me explain. Usually what I do is when there's a situation somewhat like this, I would somewhat maybe wait until maybe 12 hours or so, do as much research as I can, do as much chatting as I can, as many text messages, mixing some phone calls. And now, here we are right now, that is AM Eastern Standard Time. We're going to talk about some boxing here right now, January the 15th, 2015. I'm T Street Controversy. This is T Street Controversy Live. We at Real Combat Media have been covering this Haymon boxing. We're going to talk about it all. Haymon boxing, what we now know is Premier Boxing Champions, PBC. We're going to explain. We've been covering this extensively. Me, even before my tenure with, before my time with Real Combat Media, I was talking about it down south on that other. So, I can tell you that I'm surprised, but at the same time, I'm kind of like a conspiracy theorist. For example, I believe that 9/11 was an inside job. I believe that Sandy Hook was a hoax. I can't even watch CNN, Fox News, and MSNBC because something is just isn't right about the parachuting. You get me? So I'm one of them type of people. So, looking at the major news from Al Haymon, looking at the major news of boxing coming to national television, 5 Saturday nights, only 5 Saturday nights, 5 Saturday nights on NBC national television. They're going to use those well. You got, excuse me, if I'm correct, 9 fights on NBC Sportsnet, 9 fights on NBC Sportsnet prime time. And then you got something like 6 afternoon fights on regular NBC. I'm not going to, mix myself up with the math, but basically, if I'm correct, that's exactly what it is. And also, you'll be able to watch, if you got the Showtime package, and if you got Showtime anytime, no matter where you are, if you got a smartphone, and Showtime Championship Boxing is on, whether it was Amir Khan, Danny Garcia versus goddamn Rod Salka, you were able to watch it on your phone. So, for example, I remember exactly what I was doing. I was cooking at the time, watching, like, I got a S4, Galaxy S4. I can sit it right there while I'm washing the dishes, cooking, preparing my controversial meals, and actually watch a fight. So, what I'm saying to you is, you'll be able to watch boxing, these boxing matches that Haymon will put on any of your mobile devices. So, there's so many more details, and of course this is not going to be the last video I do on this. This is a situation that's just consistently developing. There is a website. It is premierboxingchampions.com, PBC. Now, they have Marvin Hagler. Sugar Ray Leonard's. Roberto Duran, Thomas Hitman Hearns, commentators. Al Michaels returns. And the event, the glamorous event that it was, for the press conference, it was a beautiful event. For example, the boxers wore suits. Adrien Broner, they wore suits. It was no trash talking. It was a classy, I'm talking about a classy event. It was only for invite only. So far, basically, they sent out secret invites to whoever the media that they chose. Now, to touch on that, you don't want to pick and choose when it comes to media, especially with the reputation that Al Haymon has. I understand that maybe he's feeling like, yeah, I told y'all, fuck y'all. I should have believed in me in the first place. And now he's probably thinking, excuse the profanity, but he's probably thinking, now y'all on my dick. Nah, I don't. Me, as I said, with my conspiracy, theorist ways and me, getting addicted to that Alex Jones shit, I think like, well, I'm not going to just drink the Kool-Aid yet. So you saying that if we was to drink the Kool-Aid right now, we would turn into spirits and go up into the comet hit, like, I'm gonna be like, nah, let's hold on. I need you to, answer some more questions. I need some more answers before I just go drinking it. So what you see is the in-house boxing. Danny Garcia versus Lamont Peterson. You see Adrien Broner versus John Molina. You see Keith Thurman versus Robert Guerrero. All fights that we've asked for at one point in time or another. All fights that we were owed. Now, we can look back and say, well, now we see what Haymon was. That's why he was giving us those bullshit fights. So I think to myself, well, wait a minute. I was paying for Showtime, yo. So which means basically you're not like you're not gonna, compensate me for the time, So, and then the boxers, and then also you still have to ask yourself the question, well, how much is Adrien Broner making to fight John Molina? So how does this make Peter Quillin not having the belt? How does that work? More questions. Will only Haymon signed boxers be fighting on the NBC cards? Or, for example, could you see someone like, let's say Andy Lee versus a Peter Quillin? It would tremendously benefit Andy Lee. Now, it's so many different dynamics to what I want to talk about. But see, I can sit here for about 2-3 hours, which is why I'm going to wait until Google Hangout. Google Hangout is a live streaming service that I will be doing after Bermane Stiverne defeats my prediction only. And yes, I'll eat my crow live here on YouTube. After Bermane Stiverne defeats Deontay Wilder, it will be January the 18th, 2015 at that time. I will be here. So I will discuss everything in detail, but let me try to keep this video somewhat compact. I say, how does it help the Peter Quillin situation? I say, okay, yeah, this does help the fans see Haymon fighters, yes. But what about the matches we want to see? And also, how long before Haymon starts getting comfortable and then putting on bullshit matches? Or will he ever get comfortable? So that's why I was always on the fence with him. Used to be do one video, I'd be mad. Then I'd do another video, and I'm like, maybe this black man's got a plan. Looking around at all those fighters and stuff. But now, I see all the rejoice and people saying, look, I told you, but consider this a grand opening. When something opens up, like how when you get that new TGI Fridays in your town, you go there first and then, you come back like when they first open, you come back like a year or so later and, you see that roach, around, crawling around the ketchup and shit, so, and I'm not sold yet, I guess. And what I'm saying is, fans, I understand, yes, it's good, but a classic line and just a regular way to put it is, let's see how this plays out before we just start saying, yeah, thank you, Al Haymon, like Obama-tizing him. People got Al Haymon post. No, that was me. I made an Al Haymon poster with the Obama. That was me. It wasn't nobody else. But the Showtime situation. Here's what I'm getting from it. People want to ask, well, will these guys be on Showtime? The way I'm seeing it is, now remember, you got to think that if you have 5, it's 50 hours, basically. That 50 hours is going to include, post and pre-fight, all 50 hours of boxing and boxing content. So you have to think 5 fights, right? 5 are going to be on NBC right before Saturday Night Live. And it's going to be targeted towards weekends or Saturday nights where it's a good chance that people may be in the house or most likely will be in the house, where it's not going to be no major movies coming out, stuff like that, to have people going on a Saturday night and family, stuff like that. So you have to think that those fights are going to be picked very carefully. And Al Haymon has the fighters in his stable to satisfy those obligations for putting on big fights. On those Saturday nights, to make sure they get big ratings, revenue. And that means Adrien Broner ain't gonna be doing none of that cursing. He'll probably get one chance. They'll probably let maybe one word slip, because nowadays, I remember growing up, you can only say ass once on TV. And I remember it was NYPD Blue, where they made this whole big thing because they said shit one time. And everybody was watching that one episode just to see them say shit. So I think he said something like, you know what? I'm tired of this shit. And then the show just ended. So when I look at, you got Adrien Broner, okay. He can sell fights. He's excited, but see, now he's only going to have to rely on his ability and being exciting because he can't really sell the fights like he, normally would. Talking about some, hey, look, I'm going to fuck him up. You know how he be. So I guess I should stay on track. See what I mean? Where I can just start talking, Showtime. Supposedly, Steven Espinoza understands that this NBC thing is basically to showcase the fighters, and then when they come back to Showtime, then when they come to Showtime to fight on pay-per-views or Showtime Championship Boxing, I guess when Haymon fighters want to fight outside of Haymon boxing fighters within that NBC deal, that they move up to Showtime. So basically, Showtime is going to be the pay-per-view platform. So he has no business. I mean, he has no. Right now, we don't see Al Haymon trying to get rid of pay-per-view. That's not pay-per-view. That's not what it is right now. And when it comes to Haymon boxing itself, it's not a promotional company. Haymon Boxing is the advisory brand for the boxers. So basically, these boxers fight on whatever cards Al Haymon gets them on. And Al Haymon does stuff like sign up smaller, lower level Al Haymon fighters like a John Molina, who just so happens to be promoted by Goosum Promotions. Goosum Tudor Promotions. Then Al can go over to them. Oh, hey, look, let's put him against Adrien Broner. Bam, they got your promoter right there. You see? So it's so many ways to go with this and so many things to talk about. So I'm trying to keep you on track to say that Showtime's not out of the picture yet. But as it stands right now, Showtime is heavily relying on Mayweather versus Pacquiao, while Haymon has taken these fights that could have been on regular Showtime, on Showtime Championship Boxing off. So don't get it twisted. There is a void there on Showtime. And if you've seen the cards we've been getting as of late, we know why. But I think it was Steve Kim on Twitter. I think he's called it the Haymon Invitationals. When you see like the Rances Barthelemy's, you seeing the Donna Stevensons, and the JoJo Dans, and when you look at those fights, you think like, man, something's got to be going on. So you have to think, how is Haymon compensating Showtime to not burn no bridges with them, like he burned bridges somewhat with HBO, to make sure that it's no bad blood when he wants to showcase his fighters and build them up on a national scale. It's smart. Build them up on a national scale where everybody has the opportunity to see him, whether they have Showtime or HBO or not, and then bring them up to Showtime. But that means Showtime has to deal with whatever this situation is right now, or whatever fighters are going to be fighting on Showtime or not. Last I checked, Oscar De La Hoya and Steven Espinoza wasn't out on good terms. And Steven Espinoza is homeboys with Richard Schaefer. So it's, So that's why I say, just don't drink the Kool-Aid yet. We need to listen to him, because see, what he's going to say is, he's going to say, listen, all y'all put on these matching identical sweatsuits. I got these fresh-ass, white-ass Nikes. Everybody make sure you got clean socks. We're going to go out in style. And I'm like, nah, man. You ain't tell us nothing about the comment yet. You ain't tell, why? Why do I want to drink that and then die and not be around no more? And I know my analogies are a little, but really think about it. You got to, with media today, and you got to think, Al Haymon, you might as well say he's a media mogul, whatever you want to say he is behind the scenes. He's a whole lot of shit. He knows what he's doing as far as appeasing us, but at the same time making sure his agenda and his fighters' agendas come first. And that's understandable when it comes to you thinking about your business interests. But I'm saying, don't get conditioned yet to think that, oh, look, he did this, because realistically, he's just giving us what he owed us. He owed us Danny Garcia, Lamont Peterson. He owed us Keith Thurman versus Robert Guerrero. When you hear Robert Guerrero saying, who's Keith Thurman, and basically not wanting to fight Keith Thurman all along, we found out that when you sign an Al Haymon advisory agreement that he owns your ass. So therefore, it's like Robert Guerrero, it's like he had no, Haymon said, listen, you're going to be fighting on NBC. You fought Mayweather. Perfect. He's one of the perfect people to put on NBC along with Keith Thurman in a main event, because Robert Guerrero, they can associate him with, oh, that's the guy that fought Mayweather. And then Keith Thurman, it appeases the fans as well as Al Haymon, because Keith Thurman, the younger, undefeated, up and coming, basically contender now. If he knocks out a guy like Robert Guerrero on national television, that sends him to the stratosphere, or starts to help send him to the stratosphere. And then if he fights again on NBC in one of those cards, it's, you know. So I think right now Haymon's going to be juggling, because Broner said he's going to fight 4 times this year. I believe it. But the thing is, you know, the John Molina thing, I'm going to do a whole nother video on Broner versus John Molina, because Broner's got to cut a lot of weight. And my concern is if he gets knocked out, you know, if he gets hurt, if he gets beat up. Pepsi, getting hopped up on some Pepsi. Yeah, I got about another 5 minutes. But with all the information, and that's why I'm going to wait till Google Hangout to try to go into detail. I just want to stay on one situation, to whereas in what reason do you have to keep your Showtime subscription outside of Mayweather right now? Which is the reason why Haymon had to deliver Mayweather versus Pacquiao, because Showtime is not friends with CBS. Showtime CBS is not friends with NBC. It's like, you know, they're like competitors. So for them to allow something like that, I'm talking about the executives, allow something like that to happen, it's got to be doing, you know, something's got to be done in return. And I'm guessing the leverage for Haymon is like, well, listen, you know, you let me do this, I give you Mayweather Pacquiao. I'm Al Haymon. I'll give you Mayweather Pacquiao. They'll say thank you. You see, I know I probably left a lot of things out. Probably like things like that all fighters will be under what Mayweather calls, or what we know as Olympic style drug testing. All of them. Which that's a whole controversial situation in its own, Gabriel Montoya. But I'm going to leave it at that. Please subscribe, realcombatmedia.com. I'm T Street Controversy. This is T Street Controversy Live. How long have we been here? I got a couple more videos to do. I'm going to try to make it out. I'm not going to give up. I'm tired of shooting. I'm not going to give up. Twitter at T Street Controversy Live, obviously. Facebook at T Street Controversy Live. Instagram at T Street Controversy Live. I can honestly say right now that my Twitter is active. And that if you go to my Twitter, you will get all the news that you need and me verifying information. You know, I've been doing a little experiment as of late. Well, the last few days when I said, oh, yeah, by the way, Berto versus Josecito Lopez is going to happen. But people say, well, how do you know Mayweather Pacquiao is going to happen? I told you. I said, listen, people just tell me shit. So who else is telling you that Berto versus Lopez is official right now? And it's probably going to be on the April 11th. It's probably going to be on the Danny Garcia card. So, you know, I don't know the exact date, but it's stuff like that. Because then when it becomes official, people are going to be like, oh, well, it's official, but then not give me my credit. I'm not asking for credit, but all I'm saying is you don't have to say, oh, T Street, you're right on all this type of stuff. Just say, just don't say nothing. Just don't doubt the credibility. I'm not coming up here just doing this shit for my health. It takes a lot of work. Especially the fact that, my God, literally, I did 9 videos yesterday, and I don't even know what time. I didn't go to sleep. Slept probably like 3 hours in like the last 24. But that's what we got. The Wild Cherry Pepsi 4. I'm T Street Controversy. This is T Street Controversy Live. Please subscribe.